Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest evolvement. If it's your first time listening, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. It is the perfect timing for you to begin this podcast, and this is the perfect episode to begin it with because we really dive deep into health, which is the basis of all other things. And if you've been listening all the time, you're going to love this episode, especially if you're an Ayurveda nerd or you just really care about what's going on in our bodies, especially in our environment and how our bodies are a reflection of what's happening. So before we get into this, I do want to share that this episode really talks about things that regular Western medicine doesn't. And if you're someone that doesn't believe in alternative health, holistic modalities, etc., this episode may not be for you. And that's totally fine. There are other episodes that will be for you. But this is an episode that looks at health from an alternative perspective and looks at the issues that are going on in our society and looks at the root cause of what's happening. And it's interesting because before talking about Epstein Barr virus, chemtrails, vaccines, the dangers of birth control pill, it was unheard of. Whereas today, now even many medical doctors, a great friend of mine, Dr. Jess, who's been on this podcast, Dr. Christian Gonzalez, Dr. Jolene Brighton, there's so many incredible doctors who are really going out there, taking a stand, saying that enough is enough. We can't keep prescribing people different medications that we know are going to make them more sick and more addicted. And this is why we need to open up our minds to different healing modalities that can touch us in different ways. This is not to say that Western medicine is bad. There is a time and place for Western medicine. If I had an acute issue that needed immediate health, I would go to Western medicine for sure. But it's looking at what can we do to prevent these issues from happening in the first place. And this is where different alternative healing modalities, including Ayurveda, which I study and write books on, Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda, Eat, Feel Fresh. And all of these are really pointing to the same issues that everyone can agree that the reason why our health is deteriorating is because we are disconnected from nature. And because we are so disconnected from nature, we don't know how to eat, operate, walk, breathe. All of these things have been stripped from us, whether it's because we live in a city and there are no trees and there's no grass to walk on, or whether we work at a desk job and there's no time for us to even stand up or take a walk around, or whether it's all of our food is packaged and comes from a box or whatever else it is. So it's extremely important for us to look at these root causes and see what can we do to stop this, which is why I brought on Anela of the Human Garage. So last week you heard her husband, Gary, talk all about digestion, hormones, all of the internal issues that are happening in us today, especially in millennial women, which many of you are. But in this episode, we speak more about the feminine issues that are happening. So I'm talking hormones in terms of libido, in terms of reproduction, etc. I'm talking about the things that are going on outside of us, Epstein Barr virus, chemtrails, pollutants, and it's incredible because Ayurveda, the word Ayurveda means the knowledge of life. So for you to be healthy, you must have full knowledge of all areas of your life. And one of these areas is called Garvisha, which means your environment. So even in the ancient Ayurvedic text 5,000 years ago, they spoke about how important a clean environment is to your health. And at this time, there were no chemtrails, there were no GMOs, there were no pesticides, there were no plastics. These things didn't exist. But even 5,000 years ago, at the time of the Charaka Samhita, they knew that these pollutants are so hazardous for our health. And lo and behold, in today's world, we are swimming in oceans of plastic and breathing air filled with pollutants and eating food stripped of minerals. And it's happening right now. We're in it. They call it the Kali Yuga, the crazy times. But that doesn't mean that we are destined to lives of sickness. In fact, it means that we are offered a new perspective. We are offered a new way of being. We are offered to take the initiative into our own hands. And the first step of that is awareness. When we educate ourselves and we see, wow, maybe the food that I'm eating isn't enough to nourish my body in the way that I need. Maybe I need to have trace minerals in my water, or have supplements on certain things, or take some Ayurvedic herbs, etc. Maybe me living in a big city is not the best thing. For some people, they can be okay with it. Other people are hypersensitive to it. Maybe for certain people, the Wi-Fi and the 5G is affecting them more than it is others. It's affecting all of us, but being aware of it might explain why you have headaches, or why you have asthma, or why you have this or that issue. And education needs to come first. And with that education, then we are empowered to take action. And that's really what this episode is all about. It's about educating you on the things that the media doesn't speak about, the things that our doctors may not warn us about. The things that are affecting us at this massive level, which are why so many of us have these different conditions, but we're not told about. And that's why I brought Anela on this podcast to have this conversation about feminine health, Epstein Barr, chemtrails, pollutants, libido, all of the things that are affecting all of us on a daily basis. So I'm very excited to share this episode with you, to hear your perspective. Reach out to me in Rose Gold Goddesses, my membership community. Head over to rosegoldgoddesses.com to join the waitlist. We have entire topics based on yoni health, libido, all of the things goddess, feminine we speak about, including our well-being. So join Rose Gold Goddesses. Reach out to me on Instagram at I am Sahara Rose. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And without further ado, let's welcome Anela of the Human Garage to the Highest Self podcast. And before we get started, check out these brands that make Highest Self podcast possible. Are you interested in having a career focused on health and wellness? Well, if so, then the universe is calling you to become a holistic health coach. I am offering this incredible deal, a discount of $1,500 off my alma mater, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which is the world's largest nutrition school, with guest teachers such as Deepak Chopra, Chris Carr, Dr. Hyman, and Dr. Andrew Whale, and so many others. It is split between 6 months of health coaching programs teaching you hundreds of nutritional theories, including Ayurveda, as well as 6 months of business coaching. And as an additional bonus, I am offering a webinar where I will teach you how to use social media to create a thriving career as a health coach. On top of that, I have created a private Facebook community just for the Highest Self podcast listeners who are becoming health coaches to connect with each other, meet up with each other, and support one another on this journey. So if you're interested, send an email over to Sahara, Sahara, at eatfeelfresh.com with subject IIN. Again, Sahara at eatfeelfresh.com with subject IIN. And I will personally send you back the email that will allow you to get a $1,500 off discount, as well as my business coaching webinar and the private Facebook group. I'm so excited for you to begin your journey as a health coach. This episode is brought to you by Four Sigmatic. Four Sigmatic is an incredible mushroom elixir company. I proudly drink their elixirs every single day. My favorite is their chai mix. It is insanely delicious. I quit chocolate cold turkey, and what helped me was drinking this chai mix every day. And best of all, they use stevia to sweeten it, and there's no sugars like the chai lattes you'll find at Starbucks or wherever else. And the mushrooms are really good for balancing your hormones, helping heal adrenal fatigue, healing your body on an adaptogenic level. So adaptogens really kind of relate to what your body needs. So if you are high stress, it will bring you down. If you need more energy, it will bring you up. And that's what's so amazing about adaptogens. They adapt to your body, and mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, have a lot of adaptogenic properties. So you can head over to their website, foursigmatic.com, foursigmatic.com/Sahara. I have a little shop up there with my favorite Four Sigmatic products. So you can try it out, and you can also get 15% off any Four Sigmatic product using the code Sahara. Welcome, Anela, to the Highest Self podcast. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. This is a great pleasure and honor to be on your podcast. I'm so happy and feeling blessed today.
Same here. And the question that I would love to ask you first is, what makes you your highest self?
That's a beautiful question. I think I've been spending my whole life really researching and finding my true self. Older I get, wiser I get. And it's truly like being able to connect to my soul, to my spirit, and finding things that I really love and enjoy. And I find it, believe it or not, in simplicity. Just being connected to the nature, spending some time hiking and connecting with also beautiful people. That's where I feel like my true creative side and my highest self is coming to flourishing and blossoming. And it makes me so happy because I feel charged with positive energy. I feel like Mother Nature is honestly the best healer, and she comes in and she takes away all the pain and suffering and trauma and bad memories. Once I walk into the woods, I feel like whatever I carry on for the week or months, I feel like it's just being stripped away. Mother Nature and the trees are just taking all away and give me this new renewed energy. And that's when I feel really truly on the highest. I can conquer the world. I can conquer everything. And even if I have, knowing that I'm getting into a week with stress, that's going to be stressors, I feel like, okay, I can take it on because my electromagnetic field, my energy is sealed and complete and in a good standing. But if I run without like replenishing myself, then it's easy to get immune system lower and then get sick and start attracting negative things to your life. So I think like keeping ourselves on the highest frequency and connecting to the nature and the beautiful beauty, finding beauty, it's really what feeds my heart and my soul.
So true. As you were saying this, I'm like, I need to go out to the mountains. You crave it when you don't have it for so long. And
so true.
And it's, it really goes well with this topic that we're going to speak about in today's episode of toxicity, because nature is, kind of the antithesis of toxicity. It is purity. It is vibrancy. It is where we came from. Exactly. But where we are today is so very far from that. And we're exposed to so many different types of toxins that you speak about and share so much education about. So I want to talk about what are the different kinds of toxins we are exposed to on a daily basis.
Wow. Pretty much what I realize is it's everywhere. Wherever we look, it comes through the air, it comes through the soil, through the water. Then it's pretty much in everything that we touch today. In a major department stores, if you go and buying foods from a big grocery stores, that's a big one. You have to really know where your source of your food, everything. For example, what happened to me recently, I was walking around and I started thinking about the clothing. I said, okay, I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm putting inside of my body and what food I eat and the toxicity, like what's going on my skin. And I shift all the makeup and, hygiene products, really going for 100% organic, natural, smaller, private, small producers. So those are the things that I'm supporting, like just a natural way. And people that are really caring and companies that are really conscious of environment and toxicity load that's being put on the Mother Earth right now. But for me, what was the kind of waking moment is I said, today in this world, we do yoga. Everybody's kind of like working out and yoga. And I said, but what kind of clothes do we put on? Is it cotton? Is it natural clothing? And that was that one wake-up call for me, because I said, okay, for years I've been spending time and taking away things like we talk about the toothpaste and hair shampoos and the beauty products and food. But I'm like, oh, I didn't really think about all the clothes that I put in, especially leggings. I walk into Victoria's Secret. I haven't been there for probably couple of years now. And I said, let me just check. Something pulled me in. As soon as I walk through that door, I start getting congested. I start getting
so bad.
Smell. And I start feeling like my throat is closing. And
I feel like they're making you dizzy in there.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, whoa, like I didn't feel like myself, almost like drunk feeling. And it started hitting me, and I start kind of all of a sudden, your eyes open up and you start seeing things. And I was like, whoa, I felt sorry for women that work in that store. And then I observed around, and every lady that worked in that place was overweight. So they probably go, working in this store, and they've been for years. So it's accumulation of toxicity. They're getting it constantly. And once you're in it, you don't really feel it unless you go clean 100% for extended period of time. Then you sense everything. So I started touching clothes, and I was like looking for cotton yoga pants or cotton underwears and panties. And I was like, wow, there's really nothing there. The clothes look lovely and sexy and kind of inviting. It's like, wow, it looks so nice when it's exposed out there, but what does it on our body when we put it on? And so you go to hot yoga class and you are sweating and you're absorbing.
I've broken out into a rash before from a sports bra. From going to hot yoga in a synthetic sports bra, my body had a reaction.
Exactly. And that's why when I do yoga and the message keeps coming to me that I'm receiving is why yoga doesn't work today in this world and society that we live in. Back in the days in India, we used to work on the land and walk, and we didn't have so much toxicity. And you used to wear, loose cotton
big
clothes.
white clothing for yoga.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden in this world and society, wear really, really tight clothes.
Made of plastic.
And here I am, drinking green juice and posting how natural, and supporting all the natural things. But my consciousness is like, what's happening to the clothes that I'm wearing? So that's one thing that I'm really kind of bringing awareness, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not happening to me as well. Like every day I'm discovering new things and realizing what's the best way to kind of like be the best version of myself and the healthiest. I have to say, I'm in my late 40s now, and I feel better than I did in my 20s and my 30s and early 40s. When I start feeling sick or not well was when I turned 40. And I was really proud of my own health and strength because I could run 13 miles a day. I could do yoga. I can, do so many things, have 2-3 jobs. It was fine. But then my body started breaking down, and I didn't realize because once a month when I get my period, I would get these massive headaches. I had sore throats all the time, the sinus congestion. So what I would do, I would just take Tylenol pills, Advil. I would just eat them like a candy because I thought that was normal. That's what it's supposed to happen. But I didn't know that really what was causing all those issues was the toxicity load. So no one at the time, if I go to the doctor, they would not put one and one together till finally, starting being here part of the Human Garage and testing and learning about human body, all of a sudden I start personally downloading all this information that the immune system gets weakened by the toxic load. And right now, these days, we have babies are coming with a toxic liver, with a fatty liver. So older people that live here and they're in their 60s or 70s, they can take on life so much better than the 28-year-olds because they didn't have the same toxic load growing up as we do have right now. And especially women. Women are the ones that are suffering the most, starting with beauty products. Like fillers and silicone breast implants and the hair product, and especially like for the nails, I just think that we shouldn't be covering the nails. No one is really talking about the nails and what the function of the nail is, how we absorb the vitamin D and energetic and spiritually also. It's a big effect. The nails have a very powerful spiritual role in our lives. So I believe when we cover the nails, we're actually stopping the flow of the energy and adapting the vitamin D or adapting the sunlight to come into our bodies. And I do have a feeling that soon we will start talking about female health and connection to nail health. So everybody's putting like the acrylics or covering the nail. So the nail is really pretty much kind of dying inside and has no power to breathe or get oxygen. And each finger corresponds to a certain organ. In a yoga, we would kind of like do this exercise in touching the tip of the finger, mudras, so that we can activate and just send this energy to the organs. So you can affect a lot of organs just by working on mudras and hands. So that's kind of like what, I'm looking into. I'm taking a different perspective in human health. So even talking to the doctors, when you start talking from this angle, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because why is it that we see these, young women coming here, they're 28 and they have Epstein Barr virus that's active. And they have digestive issues. They're not absorbing any food. The energy level is really low. They're most of the time catabolic, which means the body's breaking down and it doesn't have ability to rebuild itself. So it's a serious issue. And I think that, it's time that we start addressing this from the consciousness and how we approach health from every day, like being present in every moment. I just say to people, you can't cheat. We live in times that we cannot afford to cheat anymore. If you're drinking coffee, make sure you're drinking organic coffee. Don't compromise. Don't be just like, okay, because I don't have my organic coffee right now, I'll go to Starbucks and get any coffee. That will set you back. Or, the small things we don't pay attention is people that go out on happy hours. Alcohol is bad, but even if you drink, if you go for social events, make sure you choose organic, something that's glyphosate and herbicides and pesticides free. Know your source. I think that's really, really important.
So very true. And the thing about the nails, I've never really heard anyone talk about it before. I mean, always my mom would tell me like, oh, don't put on gel manicures. It's not good for you. Your nails need to breathe. But I thought it was like, I don't know, some crazy Persian thing. But it's true.
It's true. I mean, it's in the religious books, especially like in Kabbalah and Judaism and Islam and Christianity. And everybody talks about power of nails. And right now, I'm like, it was one day that hit me because for me...
Girls have the longest nails. They look like little claw things.
Yes.
It's kind of, I'm like, how do they type?
Right.
But yeah, it's blocking that.
It's blocking the energy.
And then your nails also give you so much information about your health. And then if most of us have never even seen, does our nail have white marks on it? What's the quality of our nails? So we're not having that direct communication. It's like if you blocked off your tongue and you weren't checking your tongue every day in the mirror, which I recommend everyone does.
And those are the little tips that, empowering women. And for me, it's like just running back to the doctor for every little thing. I'm not sure how wise is it, because what I have seen here at the Human Garage, women, they go to the doctors and the first thing is like prescribe medications. And this one lady, she came back and she says, I went in with one issue. Now I have 10 other issues that I didn't have before I started on these medications. Once in the path, she just realized that she's like, well, I have to take care of my own health, because as much as I trusted doctors, I'm not feeling all right. Intuitively, something wasn't right.
Absolutely. And then they give you another medication to deal with the side effects of that one, and it's just this never-ending thing. And then when you talk about something that you feel like is off, they make you feel like you're crazy.
Exactly. Because also the old system that is educating these young doctors coming in, I still say, like, it's better to go to really an older doctor who's been practicing, and is open for maybe 40, 50 years than someone who just finished school. I have a personal experience even with my parents, because we're getting, parents that are getting older and they need support and health, and they pretty much trust doctors 500%. They're just like, you don't know anything. My doctor said to me, take this is what I believe. But I rely a lot on my own personal intuition, because my intuition saved my life many times. And so far, it served me really well. So I'm trusting my gut feeling, and I think also invite a lot of listeners to really connect to that gut feeling, because that first feeling is indicator that something is right or something is wrong. So my mom, she went to the doctor for just a regular checkup, and she gets really scared. They call this white coat syndrome. So when you're so terrified of the doctors, your blood pressure jumps up, your heart rate goes up. So she's that kind of person.
Okay.
So the doctor just said, oh, you have a high blood pressure. Let me prescribe you these medications, without asking her about her diet, about anything. Is she hydrating properly? What's going on? No, just you got a high blood pressure. Let me give you this prescription. So she lives in New York, and I got on the phone with her just a day after. And I said, Mom, what's going on with you? Because I could hear her voice. I could hear her breathing. I could just feel the energy over the phone that she wasn't right. She had a really difficult time catching her breath. So I said, when did you start taking those medications? She says, 2 days ago or something like that. I said, please stop taking them right away and go drink tons and tons of water. Don't drink it anymore. So she listened to me and she started drinking. I said, just trust me with this one. I know this is the truth. So then when she went back to the doctor, he gave her this monitor to carry on for 24 hours just to monitor, because she told him she didn't feel well on the medications and she wants to go investigate a little bit more. After, wearing that monitor, she was perfectly fine. She didn't need any medications, but I'm almost positive that if she continued this, it would have been a heart attack because of the potassium levels. When you're on these medications, it messes up with hydration and potassium level and all kinds of things, that medications are the ones causing the heart attacks. And then nobody would really put one and one together. They would just say, she had a high blood pressure when she checked in, and she had a heart attack. So those are the things that I think right now we have to be super, super vigilant. Because just a matter of the biochemistry is so potent. We're bioelectrical, chemical, amazing creatures. We work with, elements and minerals and cell salts. Those are the really basic elements that are necessary for the cell communication. And if that's in disturbance, and right now, because of, I would say, chemtrails and toxicity, and EMF, that's a big one that's affecting us too. So what's happening is it's messing up the electrolytes and alkaline ions. And we need, for the brain function, we need minerals. We need silica, we need zinc, we need selenium, we need all those things that we can't get it anymore through food, unfortunately.
So true. So before we get, I want to talk about Epstein Barr, I want to talk about chemtrails, but before, I also want to talk about hair salons and just the toxins in our hair products. And when you go get your hair done, because a lot of times I go to, your dry bar or whatever, because I quickly need my hair done. I walk in and I can smell. It's like, you can even smell it walking outside of a lot of these salons because there's so much hairspray everywhere and it's stuck. So can you talk about the toxins in hair products?
Oh, absolutely. I just went to visit my friend who is a hairstylist, and I haven't done my hair for a really, really long time because I had lots of trauma to it, and I just was repairing it myself. And once I went in there, I just the same thing. I just smelled this chemical, and right away I know how, if chemicals are really influencing me, that sinuses get clogged, my throat, my voice changes. And I even, I look at her and I start talking to her, and I just realized how much exposure she has to these chemicals. When you start looking at the labels, it's pretty scary because there's nothing natural in it. It's all pure chemicals. So just to think about that, all that stuff is going directly into the brain, into the skin, and the skin absorbs everything. So I'm praying and hoping that the collective consciousness will rise, that we're going to start asking these questions and creating healthy products and still look beautiful and still look sexy and still look hot and still feeling good about it. But we don't have to pay without a high price without health. And the worst thing about it is you may not feel it right away. It's the accumulation of it. And it's, more you do it, it just stays in your system. It stays in your blood. And it's not instant. So 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, when you start not feeling good, it's kind of hard to pinpoint what's wrong. So it's not one thing that you can diagnose and say, because of this, you had that. Because it's accumulation of things, small little things that are happening. And hair is the biggest impact. Right now, talking to my hairdresser, she told me, she says, now more than ever, she's been a hairdresser for 20 years. She said, now more than ever, women are losing hair. They're complaining. That's the biggest complaint. It's the hair loss. So that's one of the big issues. And then what it is, it's okay, let's go bring more products.
For sure. more, chemical things to make your hair grow, shampoos, this, that. I remember when I was like 19, I got some keratin blowout thing because I thought like, oh, I wouldn't have to like blow dry my hair all summer. It's going to look so good. And then they tell you not to wash your hair for 2 days. And then finally, when it was time for me to brush it, like half of the hair on my head just fell out.
That must be scary.
I had such thin hair after, and it took me so long to rebuild it.
It's true, because you have to build it on a cellular level. It has to go down so deep.
And for hair to grow long, that's years of growth, So then you go through all these like baby hairs, and, just that one mistake of doing the keratin blowout caused me years of hard work to bring it back.
Oh, it's so true. I mean, I experiencing myself, and also I think more trauma you have in your life, the hair is the first to suffer. Mm-hmm. And especially, if you're preparing to have children, that's really, really important to start prepping yourself and start getting rid of conscious conception.
Yes.
And it's not just a month. I just tell, clients that we work with, at least a year. At least a year. I think it's our responsibility. I mean, it would be awesome if we can have, go to schools right now and teach young women the feminine education and having, understanding of what it means to be a woman. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's my dream. That's really what I'm kind of...
Oh my God. When I was just at Coachella Music Festival and seeing like these girls that are taking Molly and then eating junk food and then drinking and all this stuff. I'm like, don't you realize you're going to carry a baby in your body? Like, is that really the state that you want? If it's not even for yourself, like for your future child. And I feel like there's just no, part of it is in this like feminist movement of like, we can play as much as the boys, but it's almost like we're like forgetting that we have these wombs that need our care and attention.
This is, dream to my ears, just to know that, we're sharing the same. I think that's where wisdom comes. Like, women that have lived need to be honored in a sense, like back in the days in the old tradition when, you have a grandmother or an aunt who lived life and has these, my grandma was that person for me. She would guide me and tell me these things and, little remedies and how to, and that's something that I inherited and I was blessed to have when I was younger. So that's when I live my life. I kind of have that consciousness understanding, but I'm also looking at young women today. I said, where are they gonna find, that wisdom? We have information, but information is not the same as wisdom.
Yes, exactly. The way of the grandmothers, it's time to bring it back.
I am so for it. And I'm like really excited because it would be so nice to even create classes or when young women are coming to get educated about just even, how to take care of themselves during the monthly periods.
Yes.
And to nourish themselves and what kind of food and connect to the essence of being a woman. Maybe we're getting out of the time when we kind of like think that, we got to be the same as man. It hurts me to see that because that was not purpose of our creation. We're definitely tough. We're smart. We're intelligent. We're powerful. But also we have to honor that feminine side in us. And like you said, that womb, it's like a precious diamond that we carry within us. So we need to kind of connect to that. We need to honor it because the womb is the life. The new life is coming out of us. And that has to be cherished. When a young girl gets a period, then, even like that's when education should really start coming in. So let's go put these young girls on pill as soon as we can. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one thing that I say to people. That's really hurting women so many ways. But doctors, gynecologists will not tell you that. They will say it's safe because it's a really low dose of hormones that you're getting in. But even the tiny one, it can affect us in such a big way for years to come. So proper education, it's not just information, but it's the wisdom. I think that's something that I'm really getting this, like, how do we find the true wisdom? And that's what we need to seek, because that's where the magic is in the old wisdom.
Yes. Well, luckily here at Human Garage, I'm sure you'll have classes educating on all these subjects, and you're already doing such beautiful things, which is really exciting. So guys, come to the Human Garage in Venice Beach, California.
Thank you. I think this is why we even exist. We started because I was broken. And I was the tough one. I was a single mom. I could play as hard as men can, and I just was unstoppable. But eventually, I was very much in my masculine energy. But eventually, I just started realizing, and right now, I am really tapping into that feminine side. And I felt that my weakness was in receiving. Like I didn't know how to receive. I didn't know how to be a woman because I had to be tough in order to survive. But we're shifting, we're changing. And I think that's the legacy I want to leave behind. At the end of the day, when we leave these physical bodies, it's going to be important what we left behind. And I think that's why I want to live every day in way of like giving and sharing and supporting and helping young women, really young men too. But I think once we take care of women, boys will come, men will come automatically.
Yes, they're learning so much from us.
Absolutely. And sons,
exactly.
boys.
Yeah, they're learning from their moms. They're spending more time with their moms most of the time than they are with their dads.
I mean, they're beautiful and they're so amazing. So I don't want to forget boys as well, because I think we'll forget. We're talking a lot about women, but I'm thinking like, boys are important too. What's happening with men right now, like talking about toxicity, is elevation of estrogen in men, plastic,
unorganic meats,
unorganic. Also, what is alcohol, but also baby food. It's full of soy, and if you look at, I just see the picture of one of the Whole Foods. It was a baby food, and it's pretty scary, like from corn and soy and fillers, but it says organic on it. And that's what's scary, because a lot of people, if you just don't know nutrition and you don't read the label, and a lot of people probably don't, you would just grab that and take it. And I said, this is what, young boys are taking.
Yeah, I mean, I just got these B vitamins that I got from this center that's all about being organic, etc. And then I just trusted them. And then I looked on the other side, sugar and soy in my vitamin B supplement. Like, what is the point of that?
Scary. But and you are educated and you are in this field. And imagine people that are they trust the labels, they're on the go, they grab it and they put it and they start taking it. So at the end of the day, it's not the big things that we do, but the little things that we do on a daily basis. That's the point.
Okay, real talk. The product I'm about to tell you about is literally the best thing I've ever put into my mouth. And that is saying a lot. And this is Organifi's Gold. So essentially it is the hot chocolate of your dreams with none of the sugar and all of the turmeric and reishi with a touch of ginger as well. It is delicious on its own, just with water. When I was on my panchakarma and I couldn't have any sugar or chocolate, anything like that, I brought my Organifi Gold with me. Panchakarma approved, and all I needed was hot water, and it was the perfect, just sweet, soothing, desserty taste that I so deeply crave after meals. And it makes me feel so calm, so restorative. It is my optimal nighttime tonic. And literally, I've gotten all my friends on it, and I'm pinching myself that they are my podcast sponsors, because even if they weren't, I would still be telling everyone about it. So head over to Organifi.com and use coupon code Sahara for 20% off. That is Organifi, ORGANIFI.com. Use coupon code Sahara for 20% off your gold. We are officially in Vata season, fall, making it the perfect time to cleanse. In fact, every time we transition seasons is the perfect time to cleanse. And one thing I love to help me with my cleansing is Banyan Botanical's Cleanse Bundle. It has everything you need to make 7 days of kitchari a super easy to digest meal, including a tasty spice mix, organic ghee if you consume dairy, and a detoxifying CCFT blend, which stands for cumin, coriander, and fennel seeds. They also have an amazing total body cleanse, which combines Ayurveda's top cleansing herbs into one tablet. I love Banyan Botanicals. They're chock full of Ayurvedic information. And on top of that, they're a certified B Corp that is very committed to providing sustainably sourced, organic, and fairly traded products. I'm going to hook you up with 20% off your cleanse bundle. Go to banyanbotanicals.com/Sahara, and you can find that link in the show notes. Again, that's banyanbotanicals.com/Sahara. So now I want to talk about something that I think people have heard about, but maybe they're not so sure. the details of Epstein Barr virus. Can you share with us what this is?
Yes, well, 99% of all of us are exposed to the virus. It's just some, is active and some it's not. So this virus causes all kinds of chaos in our bodies. Some could be autoimmune disease, you name it. Pretty much when there's no name to it, it's associated with Epstein Barr virus. I mean, it can transform itself into so many different ways. So what's activating Epstein Barr? Toxicity, frequency. I believe that this virus has a specific frequency that's been activated. We have been in business for 6 years, but just in the last, I would say 2 years, we have seen so many people with Epstein Barr virus. That is pretty scary, but no one is talking about it. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't even know, because what we do is we test non-sick people, even if you're not, you're just feeling symptoms. But this is the worst thing, because you're not sick, but you're not well. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, I'm not feeling okay. Something is wrong. I go to the doctors. They don't know what's wrong. They think it's, fibromyalgia. It's this, it's that. It's in your head. You're making things up. But it's a really serious condition. Mm-hmm. So what it does too, it affects the brain and affects everything. It affects everything, like even ringing in the ears. I mean, it could mask itself and manifest itself in many different ways. So it depends on your genetic predisposition as well. Some people may get it, even like eczema and psoriasis could be on the skin. Some could, even some cancers are linked to be part of the Epstein-Barr virus. Epstein-Barr virus, what it likes stress. Likes negative emotions. It thrives on that. High toxic load. It depletes calcium and all the minerals. So when we test and you see, the hydration is very elevated, but electrolytes and alkaline ions are very low. So it likes to take the calcium to coat itself. So it protects. It's a really, I'm not sure if you can kill it completely, but I think it has to, I would just say, we have to find a way to work with it. Mm. And I know some clients here that they have it, but they're able to live with it in a very comfortable, to kind of move from that not feeling well state into like feeling better. Because in that sense, you have to be really diligent about what you do with your food. No dairy, no meat most of the time, no eggs. You have to have
eggs are a big one with Epstein Barr.
Big one, like gluten, as clean as possible. I would say as organic as possible, getting rid of, that's why we talk about toxicity, removing all those toxins from our lives, stress. It's important, meditation, breathing, walking, being in the nature. All these things are really, really important to kind of like work with it. But it's a massive. Epstein Barr is Lyme. It's a really, like before we used to hear about cancer and heart attacks, but now it's Epstein Barr causing all these things. Mm-hmm. If someone would come and ask me or see me once in their life and they would just ask me, what would you suggest? I would say proper hydration with mineralization, not just by drinking any water, and removing all toxins. Mm-hmm. Those are the most important things. I mean, there are a lot underneath, but those two things are really, really important to have a healthy life or a balanced life in the society in the times that we're living.
So true. And toxins in all ways, toxic friends, toxic situations, toxic, I did a podcast called The Little Things That Are Lowering Your Vibration. And in my old apartment, every day I would try to save 3 minutes by walking through this really shady alley. And the alley always smelled like pee, and it was disgusting, and there was trash everywhere, but I don't know, it saved a couple minutes, so I would always walk by. And every day after, I would be like agitated, and even just the process of walking through, I was like holding my breath, and I was like, this is lowering my vibration for the rest of the day, and I'm doing this every single day. And it's like, how many times are we walking through that alley that we're doing it to save time because it's convenient, because it's cheaper, whatever it is, and it's actually making us less productive, less happy, less blissful in our entire lives for anything. So true. And I think what we're aiming and where we're heading as collective is into this fully empowered human being. And what is that fully empowered human being? Is when we're connected to all our senses, when you can
be aware of things that are good for you and things that are not so good for you, because we've been so like walking in a place that's full of toxins. Right away you're like, oh, this is not a good place for me. Walking through that alley is saying, oh, no way. Being surrounded with some, like people that are not on your frequency or vibration, because almost like, okay, do I have to be here? But I recognize I'm not guessing anymore. Interestingly enough, I went to a restaurant with some friends, and I've been plant-based most of the time. And all of a sudden I smell blood, like in the air. And it was just weird, because all of a sudden, intuitively, I start like looking around, where this smell of blood, it was just distinctive smell. I was like, where is this coming from? And 5 tables away from me, waiter was bringing this bloody steak. But I didn't see it, but I smelled it. And at that moment, I recognized this is something that each one of us have built-in mechanisms to know. So this is like how, in how we survived in the wild, when when the food is coming, but it was just one of those points where I had this aha moment where everything that we have, it's built in for our blissfulness, for our happiness, for joy, for the ultimate, state of being, is to function the best that we can. But we have dimmed it. We have took it away from us with, fluoride. Our pineal gland is clogged. We can't even think. We don't have... Intuition is a big one. Telepathy is, when you think about somebody, we're all connected in so many different ways. And we're supposed to be in this blissful state all the time. But we have so much doubt. We have so much, insecurities, uncertainties about how to be and how to live this life, and coming like, even choosing a partner for life. That's a big one, because this is where our DNA is mixing. And what's happening right now in the world, we have a difficult time finding the right person for us.
I mean, half of people messed up on their choice.
Exactly. Because my sense of smell is messed up.
Yeah.
Being on birth control.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
the one too.
The divorce pill.
Divorce pill, right?
Yeah.
So I was messed up hormonally, so I smelled or attracted the wrong guy.
Wrong kind of immune system. For you guys listening who haven't heard of this, can you explain how birth control can misguide us to choose our partner?
Right. It alters because it's hormonally, it's alter us. So we're naturally built in to have a certain receptors that would kind of send a signal. We're all like walking batteries. We all have, these signals for each other. So we know when we click with someone, when we don't click with somebody. But it's a building program for procreation. So the most important thing is for us to exist in this world is to create and procreate. So we have to find a partner. And right now what's happening is, when women are taking hormonal pills, the whole hormonal system is messed up. And also guys are taking, their estrogen levels are super elevated, and it's all hormonally, we're so confused. So then when we go out to a bar, we just don't know anymore. It's such a confusion that we can't even read the signals anymore. So it's completely blocked. And then after, I know stories too, once, you meet somebody when you're on your pill, and then when you choose to go off, 6 months later, you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing with this person? It's completely like you can't stand each other because it's just not match.
Yeah, because when you're on the pill, your body thinks it's pregnant. So when it's pregnant, it wants people with the same kind of immune system as you. Whereas the reason why we're attracted to certain people is because we have opposite immune systems, because that's going to create the strongest child to survive. So then you meet this partner when you're on the pill who has the same immune system as you, you're super attracted to them, you get off the pill, then suddenly you can't stand the way they smell. Like something about them is just like, ugh, to you, right? Yes. Whereas a partner who has a different immune system, you love the way they smell. You love their sweat. It's like attractive for you. So that's why they would call it the divorce pill. And you guys can Google this, because so many women were getting divorced because they were getting off the pill and had made that wrong choice.
Right. I mean, this is huge, this is what we're talking about. There's so many different levels that we can get really deep into it, but this is for just the listeners to get an idea and also start investigating, asking questions, question everything, question absolutely everything today. And that's really, really important. The source of information is important. And at the Human Garage right now is what we want to really do is share this information and be more on educational part and creating army of new practitioners who can go into the world, go to the schools, go to educational systems and start implementing small little seeds for young generation to start asking questions. Otherwise, I'm not sure how we're going to survive.
So true. Yes. So I loved everything you've shared. And there's so many ways, guys, that you can detoxify your life. You can switch to essential oils, to natural hair products, to changing your clothes from synthetic clothing to something that's organic cotton. You can change your bed sheets, so skincare products, everything.
So much.
So I want to ask you this final question. And, it's a topic that I haven't talked about on the podcast before because I don't want to be fear-based. I don't want people to freak out about things that we can't control. Mm-hmm. But this is something that you have taught me so much about, and I really want you to share with the audience, which is the topic of chemtrails. Yes. And it can be really scary because we're like, what can we do? It's out there. But I just want listeners to be aware of it because when you're aware of it, in a way, I think it protects you.
Absolutely. I think knowledge and wisdom is really power. So more we know, more we can protect ourselves because the truth is we can't run away from it. No matter where you go, you see them. And every time, when you look up in the sky and you look at all those white lines going up and down, left and right, people it's so funny because
people assume they're airplanes, but airplanes, right. If you watch an airplane fly by, it does not leave a white mark like that.
And
white clouds, guys, you see them in the sky. I'm looking at the sky right now and I can see it. That's not from an airplane.
And that's what's actually activating Epstein Barr virus. And we have seen it, how, the people are changing. I've been watching this carefully for a couple of years now, especially when we have how the personality change and anger and emotions and fear. It's almost like whatever comes in the air is also stimulating the fear.
Definitely.
So it's what the truth is, we're speculating and there's saying, they're spraying aluminum, borium, all the chemicals in the air. So when you look at the sky and you look at like a pink or red sky, it's the reflection of the aluminum in the sky. And you can go online and you can really research for yourself too. But this is what's been sprayed on us. And then what's happening is going into the water stream. And then it's going into the soil. So the reason why we're not getting these minerals and all the chemicals that are being sprayed, depleting us for the minerals. So we have no capacity to fight disease anymore, or immune system, or brain communication. Silica is being massively depleted. And silica is one of the most important elements in our body, especially for the pineal gland, for spiritual awakening.
Can you explain what the pineal gland is for people?
Well, it's an important gland that really kind of like when it's open, you have this ability to have like a super high intuition. I mean, I would call this like a being superhuman. You have these vivid dreams. You are in the right place in the right time. It's the communication with the universe and communication with each other. So once it's clogged and blocked, then it's just like numbing. Almost you are half asleep. So you don't ask questions anymore. You don't
sheeple.
Yes, you don't. You trust everything. So, and it's been done purposefully, I believe.
Yes.
Fluoride in the water. When you are,
it's all control.
It's a mind control. It's the control of population because no one wants awakened person. The most dangerous person is someone who asks these questions and who is like pushing buttons and
taking money out of corporate greed.
Absolutely. And I think that each one of us is a creative human. It's a creative being, and we have this power we all come in with the gifts. And we come in, I mean, we can go deeper into spiritual aspect, but to make this shorter, we all have gifts that need to be manifested.
Yes.
And we get unhappy when we're not purposeful with our heart desires, when we end up choosing jobs that are not fulfilling. Mm-hmm. And this all goes back to chemtrails because you know what? You have no power to think. You think like you are just in a prison without cage.
Yep.
You are controlled because you are told you be this. You want to be a painter. You want to create beautiful art, but also you don't have this desire or willpower to kind of like believe in your system, the power of your own manifestation and creation. Mm-hmm. And we are gifted with that. Each one of us is a part of God creation.
Yes.
And we have ability to manifest and create absolutely anything. And mass is awakening right now. which is beautiful. But that's another thing is we're getting bombarded from the air. But personally, what I do, I'm doing everything to consciously clear my toxicity out. I'm working with herbs. Herbs are talking to me, and, like teas and tinctures, and mostly with essential oils, salt baths and essential oil baths. Being in the nature, grounding is really important. Taking your shoes off, putting your feet in the clean ground as much as possible, connecting to living water. So just pulling all those negative energies out of us. So yes, we can fight it. It's in the air, but we can be conscious of it. So it's important, like sleeping, meditation, turning off your Wi-Fi, getting away from EMF as much as possible. So
not a lot of people, I feel like they sleep with their phones right next to their heads, on their pillows, or a lot of people now are using the app to track their sleep and their movement. So they're keeping their phones on their mattresses the whole night. Your mattress has metal in it. It's essentially an EMF conductor, and you're sleeping on it the whole night.
And what it does, all that is depleting precious minerals. Minerals are life, and we need to understand that. Supplements are more of the 3D, going more into minerals and herbs. We're moving into fourth and fifth dimension, working with that. That's why supplements and medications can't heal us anymore, because it's a 3D. It's something that's for dense bodies. More now, we need to go in, work with the nervous system. How do we heal the nervous system? Through cell salts, through minerals, through herbs. So the best way to get silica, for example, is to, celery, getting something like cucumber, and getting the process through the vegetables and fruits. That's why I like medical medium, he has received a message, and that's why millions and millions of people are getting tuned into that message too, is because the truth resonates. The truth is so powerful that once you know something, it's so simple and it's affordable. And that's really what we need to go back to the basics.
And the fact that so many people get so upset about it and so appalled about it shows that they're triggered. And you wouldn't get triggered if you actually, if a homeless person's screaming crazy stuff on the street, you just ignore them.
Yes.
But if they're actually saying something that's true, that's when you get triggered. So a lot of times when you talk about medical medium, you get, oh my God, it's pseudoscience. This person's full of shit. And the people who are getting the most annoyed about it are the ones who are thinking, oh my God, then everything I learned in medical school was false. So did I waste my money there? Did I waste my time there? And that's a really hard pill to swallow. They spent a lot of precious energy and time, and their doctors truly want to help people. They're beautiful souls that did everything they were supposed to do, and now to be told that that's not correct, that's really, really hard. It's way easier to fight against what you're saying than to question my whole life up till now.
Absolutely. But I just know deeply inside that we are collectively massively awakening right now. It cannot be stopped. What you do is so powerful and influencing thousands and millions of people, young people, which is really necessary, which means it's in your DNA. It's in your soul DNA. You were born to do this, and you're born to lead people, and you're born to share this information. And together, we're all here with a mission, and every single human being living today is on the same mission. It's just a little bit of shake. Hey, wake up.
Yes.
Wake up.
Exactly. And realizing that everything that happened to you that was an obstacle was to guide you on that mission. All of my health problems and issues I've dealt with were so I could become an advocate, because I had to do my own healing, and then naturally wanted to share that with all the other people who didn't know. So if you're dealing with health problems right now, listening to this, you're like, oh my God, I have all of the toxic symptoms. That means you've been chosen to be one of the healers that's going to help us undo the damage that is very, very new. You know, it's not like we've been dealing with this for centuries. It's actually like
we're rewriting the past and medical books.
And this toxic problem is really like 1970s to now. So it's just going to be this like brief era in time that we're going to close, and our generation is going to get rid of it.
Yes.
So the future generations won't have to deal with it anymore. So that's why, it's the most important for us, the ones who were born in this era of toxicity, because we have to be the ones who say, it ends with us.
Absolutely. And this is what has to happen. And the old system is still fighting so much. I mean, even talking about vaccines, look what's happening in New York. Like, you can't get away from it. It's mandatory. If you don't, you go to prison. And I mean, it's a whole new world and but we have to be vigilant.
We should do another podcast about vaccines, because it's something that I've never had kids, so I haven't looked that much into. But
it's big.
But I've heard many, many cases of people who vaccinated their children. The children totally change, and so many different cases. But then I also understand the other side of, well, is it worth the risk? And what are the vaccines you actually need versus what you don't?
And when do you vaccinate?
When and not like they're born, let's stick 20 needles in them right now.
Yes. And what goes on behind it? Like, again, it's a big corporation.
And the fillers and the vaccines, yes.
That's a whole new world. And I'm just saying, is like, young people that are going to be parents, take care of yourself now so you can give birth to a beautiful, beautiful new souls that are coming. They're waiting. These new souls are, I mean, it's so beautiful to watch and observe what's happening. They're ready. They're choosing parents. They're prepping them. The work, that you are doing too is sending signals. I can see all these young souls, or actually they're very old. They're much older than all of us. They're coming down because it's time to raise our frequency. We're done with this old system and the prison. We're breaking free, and it's beautiful and it's exciting. And I'm saying it's just like, together we can do this, but only like self-love means, taking care of myself, not feeling guilty, removing fear. There's nothing to fear. That's one message that I really want to say. Once we become fearless, we become the most powerful creatures in the whole universe. Once we get rid of that limitation of life and death, what happens when we die, then you become so more powerful, and you start receiving messages. And also the feeling of guilt and shame and blame and judgment, we don't have time for that. We're all here. We're doing our best. At the end of the day, this life is really short. Even if you live 120 years, it's still short. So let's make the best of it. And let's be the best versions of ourselves. And let's help each other. Let's give a hand and pull those that need to be pulled up. And, just start keeping this consciousness. That's when, healing is going to happen. And I lost my dad last year. It's going to be a year in May 19th. And when he passed, really changed my life completely, because in my meditation, he came to me and he gave me a really powerful message. He said, the only thing you have to study and kind of get to know is no judgment. And you don't need any more gurus. You don't need any more teachers. If you mastered this, to be not judgmental, starting with your own self, first thing by looking at yourself in a mirror and judging yourself first thing in the morning, and then judging everybody around you, nothing can touch you. No negativity, no pain, no suffering, nothing. And that was the message that kind of came to me out of blue. And when I came out of meditation, and I was just saying to myself, oh, wow, that's a tough, that's a very powerful message, but also tough to do. So it's taking me a year, and I can just say that I'm having more and more of those times when times are coming that I want to be judgmental about anything or anyone, but I'm like, nope, I choose health for my own self-protection and my own self-love. And I said, I surround myself with love. I surround myself with positivity. I choose not to blame whatever happens to me, all the trauma and abuse and pain and hurt. And she said, nope, I needed it. I created it. I own it. It's mine. I love it. Made me a better person. I'm happy. And so I'm taking power away from that and, recharging my own electromagnetic field and my cellular level. And I can say, I'm really blessed to be healthy and happy. And I think that's how I can influence and help the world to be a better place.
I love that so much. And you and Gary are definitely a power couple that is doing that, saving so many lives, educating so many people. And the Human Garage is such an incredible place. I love coming here. Thank you for creating such a wellness sanctuary in Los Angeles, where we deeply need it. Even though people think they're wellness oriented, it's not true wellness often. It's a very superficial form of wellness. And you guys are really getting to like the nitty gritty of it. So I really appreciate that. And I encourage everyone listening to check them out. Check out humangarage.net. Check out their Instagram, Human Garage LA. Come over here if you're ever in the Los Angeles area. It's in Venice Beach. Beautiful, right by Abbot Kinney, which is where all the cool hipster stores are. And it's amazing. So thank you, Anela, again for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful. And I'm here to support you energetically in every way so you can go into the world and touch millions and millions of souls. And let's bring those beautiful new souls that are waiting to be born into a healthy world and better place. Thank you so much.
How good was that episode? And Anela is such a beautiful person to deliver this message because she really walks with such femininity and grace. And it just shows that even with the pollutants in the world, we don't have to be scared. We don't have to be fearful. We can choose to take a positive stance and say, okay, I'm just going to empower myself and give myself more herbs and more self-care and more love. And these things can combat any form of negativity. They truly can. Nothing in this world cannot be healed. We can heal ourselves from anything mentally, physically, emotionally, but it takes truly embodying it and truly getting there. And now we're so lucky that we have places like the Human Garage. We have people like Dr. Joe Dispenza who are sharing the incredible ways that we can use mind-body medicine to truly heal our bodies. And of course, Ayurveda that has been preaching this message since the beginning of time. And this is why it's so important for us to learn about Ayurveda, because it's where all of this comes from. It's the world's oldest health system, the sister science of yoga that all healing modalities are derived from, whether it's Western medicine, Chinese medicine, macrobiotic, etc. So be sure to learn about Ayurveda, dive into this world. It's going to teach you so much about health on all different aspects and make you feel empowered, radiant, and most importantly, your highest self. If you loved this episode, I would love if you could leave me a review in the iTunes store. And as a free gift, I will share with you the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type. Simply email a screenshot of your review over to Sahara at eatfeelfresh.com. Again, Sahara, Sahara, at eatfeelfresh.com. And I will send you over the first half of my unreleased book, Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type. Thank you and namaste.